Each week, you have a chance to win a t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees during Review of Raw. All you have to do is pay attention for the secret question and then submit your answer at Law Radio on Twitter, and you'll be entered into a draw to win your t-shirt, including our own brand of shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/law.
It's Review of Raw for Monday night. Download a Tuesday morning from the Fight Network site. It's Review of Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wei Take the Mic.
It's Review of Raw. I'm John Pollock alongside Wei Ting, where we are going to take you through Monday's episode of Raw from Columbus, Ohio. Wei, what an edition we have to chat about tonight of Raw.
Is that a sarcastic introduction or
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind
I
of.
sense a little bit of sarcasm.
It was a little bit intended.
You didn't like this Raw.
I didn't hate it, but
You didn't think it was exciting. That's how sarcasm works, right? It's the opposite of what you said.
if I was to watch a movie and 90% of it was just, then yeah,
Okay.
the sarcasm was intended. But maybe you had a completely different reaction, and your contributions in this show are going to elevate my thoughts of this show. Maybe.
That happens
Maybe
sometimes.
I'll have a totally different idea of this show by the end. Maybe I didn't realize
Or
something.
maybe I felt the same way.
Maybe this was the worst show in history. We're going to find out. That's the exciting part. It started off with the ambulance recap of last week, and Braun Strowman comes out to begin the show. Michael Cole introduces us to Booker T, who is not David Otunga, who was traded last week. So if you were to go off the air last week and you did not watch SmackDown, boy, would you have been confused here. Byron Saxton, the guy you had grown to love on Raw, was traded after Raw, and then his replacement is going to be delayed by 6 weeks because he's off to film a movie. So now Booker T is here for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Review, not good. Night one of Booker.
I don't think anybody cares that much either way. Who takes that spot? You know? None of them are that effective.
Then why put anyone there?
We know why.
Graves and Cole would have been great together tonight.
We know why, John.
We know why.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman comes out. He doesn't have an answer either as to why Booker T is here tonight. He says he broke Roman Reigns in half. And this got a mixed reaction. This was not an anti-Roman crowd. This was mixed.
It was mixed, but I would still say it was more favorable. You know?
I thought it was kind of half and half here. He bragged about separating his shoulder because, again, if you just watched Raw last week and didn't go for any follow-ups on the website, he left Raw with a possible separated shoulder, and then someone decided later in the week, let's confirm he actually separated his shoulder.
And
we decided to go that far.
And a cracked rib.
He cracked some ribs, and he's not going to be here tonight. But he did make it to the house shows over the weekend, so I guess he had a relapse.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm just saying. He's going to run through the entire locker room. Kurt Angle comes out, fresh off an audition for Wrangler jeans, and he confronts Braun and says that you flipped over a frickin' ambulance with Roman Reigns inside. And Angle says that he is giving Roman Reigns what he wants, and what he wants is a match with Braun Strowman at SummerSlam. No, I'm kidding. In 2 weeks at Payback, they are going to have a match.
Yeah.
They did not add a stipulation to it, though. But in 2 weeks, the separated shoulder will come together, and his ribs will be formed enough that he can have a match with Braun Strowman at Payback in San Jose. And then Angle said that Strowman should be suspended, but didn't explain why he wasn't suspending him, just said that you're going to have the night off, which he did not. And Braun says he wants more competition tonight or else, and stared down Angle. And there was a surprising lack of heat for Angle teasing any kind of an issue with a performer here with him and Braun kind of going at one another. But that was it. And that was all we saw of Kurt all night as well.
Yeah.
I think he took the night off. He gave himself the night off.
He was on the show a lot less than Braun Strowman, that's for sure. I mean,
He certainly didn't enforce anything on Braun.
were you disappointed that people weren't reacting for a possible Angle Strowman match? Is that
No, I just felt that the first time Kurt was going to really get into someone's face and tease something physical, which this kind of was, Braun got right in his face. No one cared. It just didn't. I thought the first time you would tease any kind of an issue involving Kurt, people might get excited by it that this guy is going to get involved with someone.
Oh, okay. I didn't really sense that myself. To me, like, I'm actually quite impressed at how quickly and comfortably Kurt has stepped into this GM role, almost, rather seamlessly. There's really, I don't even see him as an active performer or somebody who might eventually do it. He just seems to me like an authority figure.
It's like a dad.
Yeah,
on the show.
exactly.
Dressed like a dad.
Yeah, definitely. But I think there's something, to be congratulating him for the fact that, like, he is able to perform this role so seamlessly in 2 weeks. No awkwardness at all, doesn't flub his lines, and feels just like a very credible, believable general manager. So I think he's doing well. I think Strowman, I felt like he was designed to get cheered here. You know what I mean?
I think this entire show was for him designed to be cheered.
Yeah,
He was the
whole
star of
push.
this show. There is no doubt. We come back from break. The theme song for Payback is Born for Greatness by Papa Roach
Oh, wow.
off their new album, Crooked Teeth.
New album.
Papa Roach is back, Way. It's been a while
maybe they
since
never
we've had a Papa Roach hit to push on WWE programming. Born for Greatness. Clearly.
Somebody out there must really like him if they're still, I guess, successful enough to still be making albums today. They must still have a lot of fans.
Well, I know that Papa Roach gets on a lot of people's nerves, but what got on my nerves tonight was the Kingslayer, Seth Rollins. You happen to notice what his new nickname is?
The Kingslayer?
It was only said 100,000 times.
He's trying to sell a new shirt.
He is trying to sell a new shirt.
Yeah.
So he is trying to market his big victory over the king that he slayed.
Yeah.
Which this shirt will really be kind of obsolete if Hunter ever comes back, right?
Yeah. By then, he'll probably have a new nickname.
Okay. The king. I don't know what the term would be for someone that you beat and then they come back for revenge. Rollins is on commentary. They announced him and Samoa Joe for Payback, and Joe took on Chris Jericho, and Jericho came out with this scarf that now lights up.
He's got a light up scarf.
What an investment for your final couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I hope this was a gift.
Well, I maybe he'll bring it back afterwards.
This should have been the scarf he gave Kevin Owens when they did that gift a number of months ago.
Maybe. This thing was incredible. I think they could sell this thing.
I would be worried about wearing this out in the rain.
Oh, yeah. I'd be careful with that, too.
Yeah, like this could be a real hazard.
I don't know if you should be wearing a light-up jacket, anywhere. Anything that lights up, I don't know if is...
A scarf seems to have a purpose, though, beyond just for fan entertainment, like a jacket is kind of designed for. Like, I wouldn't want to wear that out either, but a scarf kind of has a purpose to be, it's to protect your throat. It's still kind of flu season out there for some. Could you imagine getting electrocuted from a light-up scarf?
Yeah.
It'd
Nope.
be really dangerous. Jericho, they begin the match. Corey Graves is as confused as all of us about what is happening at Payback because Kevin Owens is facing Chris Jericho for the U.S. title, and Graves says he doesn't want to root against Owens, but doesn't want to lose the United States champion, Chris Jericho. Anything wrong with that sentence to you?
He's not the champion.
He is not the
Yes.
champion, no. So really Jericho would be lost to SmackDown with a loss, but not the United States title. That Raw will not have the U.S. title regardless.
Maybe he's saying if Jericho wins, he will be the U.S. champion, and he'll also be lost from Raw.
I guess so. I think Graves realized his mistake mid-sentence here, but had to proceed forward before correcting himself.
Yep.
Joe charged Jericho, kneed him in the corner, did the face wash. Jericho stopped an Olay kick with a drop kick, and then Joe blocked the walls of Jericho. Jericho drop kicks him off the apron. They go through a commercial break. He runs into a power slam from Joe, a Uranagi, and then he misses with a senton off the turnbuckle. Joe does, and Jericho applies the walls. Joe reverses it to his back and powers out, and then Joe applies the coquina clutch, and Jericho kicks off of the turnbuckle, which has been used in the past by Steve Austin, Bret Hart, flips on top, but Joe holds on to the coquina clutch and has his back, and finally, Jericho taps out. A clean finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the finish. I think, it's a little unexpected to see somebody like Jericho, who's in a big program against Kevin Owens himself, tap cleanly in the build-up to this. But, I mean, it's certainly... it's nothing new for somebody like a Chris Jericho to continue to lose to all these guys on his way out. And I love the finish, just the way they battled in the walls, and then the way they battled in the coquina clutch. I really liked how Graves called it too, noting how Jericho, while trying to walk up to the turnbuckle to bridge out, allowed Joe to ground him and sink that choke in deeper. And I thought it really helped to establish that move and to establish Joe.
Yeah, in most circumstances, yeah, it's weird that the guy going for a title is losing clean, but Joe is the guy sticking around. Joe is the priority, and I didn't have any issue with this. And I thought it was a welcome change to see two pushed guys with a clean finish. And it did more for Joe than in any way affecting Jericho.
And I think Jericho is so confident in his ability to build himself back up again, like you saw at the end of the show tonight. He knows that he can afford these losses.
Joe then addressed Rollins, and he said, "Behold, the mighty Kingslayer." And he describes the sounds his knee made when Joe hurt him and mentions how his benefactor was Triple H. It's not going to be business at Payback. It will be very personal because of what he did to Hunter and what he did to Stephanie that he called disgusting. Disgusting, putting her through a table, which technically Hunter did. Rollins says that Joe almost cost him his career. And you know what they say about Payback? Tell us, Seth. Payback is a bitch. And Graves says, never bet against the Kingslayer.
Yeah, good promo from Joe. He's been cutting a similar style of promo for years now, but I think to hear it on a WWE Raw stage with a WWE level style of production, it felt different and it came across well. He's got a different style of talking than most.
Anderson and Gallows are in the back, and they walk past Elias Sampson playing his guitar. So he's just making random appearances all over the arena. Mm-hmm. They cut to the Golden Truth, who are also walking in the back, and they get run over by Braun Strowman. Tosses Goldust through a metal fence and then strikes down R-Truth as Finlay, Jamie Noble, and Adam Pearce all run up to help the Golden Truth. And someone had booked an Anderson and Gallows versus Golden Truth match. Yeah. And it has now been affected by Braun Strowman. Then a SmackDown ad aired where on Tuesday night there will be a six-pack challenge involving Sami Zayn, Mojo Rawley, Dolph Ziggler, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Jinder Mahal in a number one contenders match for the WWE title. The number 2 title, which AJ cannot go for now because he's going after the big gold on SmackDown. Mm-hmm. And interesting, no Baron Corbin in this match.
Well, again, they're competing for the U.S. title. Right?
But Baron lost last week.
I know. Yeah, it's a little backwards why they're doing that instead of having it the opposite way around. You would figure that the match last week should have been for the world title.
Maybe they made that confused. Maybe this was supposed to be the U.S. title number one contenders match, and they accidentally screwed this up.
I don't know.
They didn't.
I don't know.
They didn't. But when you look at these six-way, who is going to be Randy Orton's dance partner after the House of Horrors match? If you figure it's going to be a heel, your options are Rowan, Ziggler, and Jinder. And is Jinder Mahal on the cusp of the biggest push of his career? Yes or no?
I think that's a no. Well, I mean, could be, but he's not going to win this match.
You don't think he's going to win this match?
I don't.
Are you going to hinder Jinder?
You said that last week, actually.
Well, that's the famous sign for Jinder Mahal that a fan had.
Okay.
Well, we will see. You're not going to be around for SmackDown this
No,
week.
I
So
won't.
you are clearly going to have to tune in on your vacation to find out how Jinder Mahal fares in this six-pack
If I
challenge.
tune in, I mean, I'll probably have to watch on the Sportsnet Now app because this show will not be airing.
Oh, how do I use the Sportsnet Now app?
Simply go to sn.com and
Bing, bing, bing.
all throughout Canada on Raw tonight, they said that because of like hockey or something and baseball that SmackDown's not going to air on its usual TV time slot. It'll
Yes.
air on the online mobile app for Sportsnet.
And there were 18,000 instructions on how to view this Sportsnet Now app so that you will not miss SmackDown on Tuesday night.
Which is very
It was helpful.
Yeah.
I now know I can watch SmackDown in a legal way on Tuesday night. Though if I'm late starting, I don't think I can rewind on this app, can I? So
I don't know.
Then I would have to watch it
never used it.
illegally. But hey, this is what the playoffs are doing to us. Not just the law that gets affected by the NHL playoffs, it's the WWE as well. Strowman is in the locker room, and a referee informs him that he has the night off. Strowman says he will leave when he wants to, and he's sitting next to his luggage. And I just started imagining this guy traveling just day to day. And that to me would be a great WWE.com exclusive. Just this guy going through his travel, waiting for his checked-in luggage,
that'd be a good one.
being told that 5 kilos is the limit for your carry-on.
I'm surprised they never did something like that with the Big Show. Just to follow this guy around.
Yeah, you know how awful it is traveling around Big Show? Can we make it a little more uncomfortable for you and send a crew with you?
Didn't you tell me that there's some story? Oh no, I think it was Era Hawani who mentioned this. That Andre the Giant used to have to shit in the bathtub into a blanket because he wouldn't fit on the toilet.
Someone said that.
Yeah. So anyway. I mean, this is the type of stuff that's really interesting that we don't think about. What these people have, these giant, massive people have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, if
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in particular, but I mean,
think about
weird things like that.
what the logistics would have to be of a toilet that would have to be your backup. I mean,
What do you mean?
like you could squat without having to put pressure on the toilet.
I'm not taking that risk if I'm Andre the Giant.
I guess you could slip.
This was like in Japan too, like the story was.
Couldn't enjoy the bidet.
I don't think they had bidets back then, or the fancy ones.
Anderson and Gallows were there when they had bidets. And they say that Strowman gave Goldust and R-Truth the United Airlines treatment. Speaking of flights. And they are here on standby. They came here from Japan to be mean and get green. And Gallows tells them to go round up some nerds for them to face. So Enzo and Cass answer the call. The nerds state that Monday night is still the sweetest night of the week after the shakeup. And Cass mentions Enzo's buck eyes and is going to give Anderson and Gallows 4 black eyes. This was some award-winning material. Anderson and Gallows took on Enzo and Cass. Cole mentioned here the report that had come out earlier on Monday from Ryan Satin that Dash Wilder suffered a fractured jaw over the weekend at a house show and is going to be out for 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's a awful setback for the Revival.
Some bad luck for all these new call-ups.
Could you imagine if this had happened? If this had happened like 2 weeks before, they probably wouldn't have called them up over this.
Yeah.
They were like, we'll wait for the next cycle of call-ups. So, I mean, the silver lining is, it's never great to get hurt, but maybe after you're called up as opposed to right before you get called up, if you're going to break your jaw.
I believe he would have been called up either way, though.
You think if this guy was out for 2 months and this injury had happened a week before WrestleMania, they would have called them up? I'm saying if they had been injured like this.
I think they would have
Before
been
the
called
call-up.
up 5 weeks later or 8 weeks later.
Maybe they would. Cass clotheslines Anderson to the floor, and Enzo runs around the ring, and Cass launches him into Gallows, then into Anderson. They go through a break. They get the advantage on Enzo. They're attacking his arm. Anderson slams down Enzo, and his head bounces off the mat. So they aired a replay of this, just in case you missed this the smashing of his head. Enzo then catches Gallows with a DDT, but Anderson leaps to prevent him from tagging. Anderson finally misses a bicycle kick. Enzo rolls to the floor instead of towards his corner, and then makes the hot tag when he returns into the ring. Cass fires up. Gallows prevents the boom shakalaka, and Gallows then gets sent to the floor with a Cass big boot, but Cass also sends himself down to the floor, and Enzo is lifted up by Anderson and gets dumped onto the turnbuckle. Just thrown onto this turnbuckle, and Anderson pins him.
Yeah, I think is that supposed to be his new move?
I don't know how many guys you can give this to. This is also the guy taking it cannot control his fall, which could be right down on his head. So I don't know if this would be one to be sharing around the locker room.
Well, I mean, the fact that he pinned him right afterwards suggests that maybe this was some type of intended finish, and the fact that the announcers really put it over like it was this, wow, he just created this amazing, great new move, suggests to me that maybe this was supposed to be somewhat intentional, but it looked a little ugly. The match looked a little ugly. Yeah, but I mean,
there has to be
it looked devastating.
There has to be a pool going on backstage of who can kill Enzo.
I think he would win that himself.
The Miz and Maurice come out for Miz TV and are interrupted by Dean Ambrose. Ambrose says he wants to call a truce since he's from Cincinnati, the Miz is from Cleveland, and they are here in Columbus. And did an Ohio chant with the audience, stating that Maurice wouldn't know anything about this since she's Canadian, which I'll confirm that I didn't know what this was either. But I'm sure we will hear about it. He calls the Miz's suit that he's wearing ridiculous. Miz says he dresses like this because he respects what a WWE star is. He walks and acts the part because he is the part. And Ambrose doesn't care. He's a disgrace to what a superstar should be. You make us just look like wrestlers, and tells Ambrose to go put on a fanny pack and some Zumbas. Zumba's way. And take us back 30 years. This felt like a hands-on Vince McMahon promo. But man, Zumba's here. Miz mentions Ambrose being the first draft pick last summer and the WWE champion at SummerSlam, but he wasted all of his momentum. Said at WrestleMania, you were barely a blip on the card. And that's because he's lazy and he's complacent. And that's why he hasn't broken the glass ceiling or become larger than life. Ambrose was having flashbacks to the Austin podcast here. Ambrose says there are a lot of guys here like The Miz, concerned with their image, who care about branding and what people tweet about them. And then, getting on Way's good side, said, I'm not a brand. I'm Dean Ambrose. Because that was his birth name, as he takes off his leather jacket to reveal his WWE attire, his lunatic fringe shirt. Dean Ambrose is very much a brand.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he said it with a lot of spirit here. He doesn't care about endorsements or movies. He would do this in front of 20 people or 100,000. He loves black eyes, so maybe he should have fought Enzo. He loves coughing up his teeth, bleeding, sweating, and kicking ass. And no one does it like him, and that's why he's the Intercontinental Champion, which was a great point to bring up in this promo about not living up to your potential, that you are a champion in this ring and The Miz is not, to just keep it in this this world of make-believe. And he says he beat The Miz for the title. Maurice then called Ambrose a dirty little street rat and says that walking around with a title doesn't make him a real champion. Says there's a saying, the title doesn't make the man makes the championship. As Miz starts talking about his run as IC champion, but now the title's a joke because it's on Ambrose. And Ambrose attacks The Miz. Maurice runs a microphone into the spine of Ambrose. He counters a skull-crushing finale. Miz escapes the dirty deeds and leaves with Maurice as Ambrose tosses their director's chair to the floor. A lengthy segment here from these three.
Yeah, I enjoyed all of it. And I attribute that to The Miz, who I think has really found his groove in cutting these very scathing promos that are very much based in reality. I think him calling out Dean for going, from being the first SmackDown draft pick to being on the kickoff was a great line. I think him calling him out for devaluing the IC title that he worked so hard to build up was also a good one. So I think him saying all these things, hopefully, is going to help wake up this babyface Dean Ambrose, who I think has been very stagnant and quite mediocre for a long time now. I thought Ambrose's response was good. You know, it showed a bit of fire that I think
Has been lacking severely.
yeah, severely. You know, and we all know what this guy is capable of in terms of a promo, but we haven't really seen it in a long, long time. So maybe the
Yeah,
Miz
I
can-
would question if we do believe he's capable of. I mean, yeah, this promo was fine, but I mean, the last great promo from Dean Ambrose, maybe he had one on Talking Smack, one of those. I mean, I don't know. He's been stuck in this gear for a long, long time, and I think people have just kind of associated him with. I don't want to say a Dolph Ziggler level, but he's closer to that than he is to a top end spot.
I certainly think he's capable. He just needs the right dance partner and the right motivation. And hopefully, I think the Miz, you know, calling out a lot of these real life things like he was able to do so well with the Daniel Bryan, with the John Cena feuds, maybe that'll wake him up.
Braun is backstage just dragging Kalisto. Welcome to Raw. This is our first sight of Kalisto. He says he's taking Kalisto with him and says Roman Reigns is garbage and so are you, and threw Kalisto into a garbage bin. This was my favorite moment of Raw.
Yeah.
Braun was awesome on this show.
Dude, again, he's a total babyface. Like, doing all these like visual gags with Braun Strowman as sort of the lead. You know, the Roman flipping him into flipping the ambulance, the ring breaking. It's all like done to make him social media shareable. You know what I mean? This'll turn into a GIF in the morning. You know, all this stuff is
A
designed.
lot are going to say GIF.
Is it GIF or GIF?
Well, GIF. I mean,
Is it actually GIF?
Well, it's
I
the
thought-
G is
I heard
a
it was
graphic,
GIF.
so it's a hard G.
Yeah, but I thought the guy who created it said it was supposed to be pronounced GIF.
I don't know if he necessarily gets to.
Sure, he does.
I don't know. Yeah, people let us know. GIF or GIF.
Anyway, this was you know, I had flashbacks of Rey Mysterio being thrown into the van, the side of the van by Kevin Nash in WCW.
Oh, the lawn dart.
The lawn dart. That is a classic moment. And here we have another giant disposing of another cruiserweight in funny fashion. So
So you're saying in 6 years, or maybe longer, Kalisto's going to headline WrestleMania. It was 10 years apart with
yeah, that is exactly
Ray winning the title at WrestleMania.
exactly what I'm saying.
So
This is-
Kalisto, WrestleMania.
This is the start of Kalisto's main event push right here. His
Okay.
WrestleMania build begins with
43.
him being thrown into the dumpster. Yes.
That'll be a horse. I think WrestleMania 43 will be a horse. That'll
Huh?
be the logo.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my prediction. So Kalisto was thrown out in the trash, and for all we know, that's where he still is to this moment. And then Big Show shows up and just cross-checks Braun into a wall. And he goes down and tells him to pick on someone his own size. And Braun is just laying there on his ass, watching the Big Show leave. And we're going to get our rematch between Big Show and Braun Strowman. And this, unlike the first time, I was very much looking forward to this the second time around after seeing their last Raw main event. Your man, TJ Perkins versus Jack Gallagher. Could have sworn I saw this last Tuesday. But what happens on 205 Live, we can redo on Mondays. Neville came out before the match for a special appearance, followed by Austin Aries, who also comes out. And I never understood why these two are out here.
Just to get their faces shown.
Just to,
I mean,
they're facing one another at the pay-per-view.
Right.
These two have nothing to do with each other.
Well, Perkins is Neville's advocate,
That's true. And Aries is just there.
just to keep an eye.
I feel Perkins is going to get inserted into this match.
I don't think so. He's supposed to be. He'll probably be ringside or something. He's supposed to be a sidekick.
Maybe he'll be the referee.
I don't think so.
Well, they just came out and they sat at ringside. Aries ate a banana. I don't know what they were scouting here. Graves gets annoyed at Perkins doing the dab, and he asks Booker if he feels the same way, and Booker says, "No, I did the spinneroonie," which was a great point here. So, you know, maybe TJ Perkins, maybe he just sneezes a lot. Maybe he's not even trying to do this. Maybe he's just, you know, trying to be clean.
Yeah.
How would you sneeze if you were about to?
Oh, that is actually part of the.
That's the proper way to do it, not your hand.
Well, that is the proper way to do a dab, is to pretend you're just sneezing.
Oh, is that the actual way to do it?
part of the instructions. Google it.
I knew you. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Perkins drops William, the umbrella, to the floor, and fans got hot at this. There was a headstand into a kick by Gallagher. Perkins then landed in the ropes, and Gallagher charged them, missed, and just crashed to the floor. They went through a break. Gallagher got his umbrella, did the seated senton to the floor. Perkins then shoved Gallagher hard into Aries in his chair, and Aries went flying. Aries then got on the apron. Neville yanked him off and crashed on the floor. And then Perkins kicks the rope into the face of Gallagher and hits him with the detonation kick, and TJ Perkins is victorious.
Yeah. Sadly, no promo on Raw, but we can only hope for TJ Perkins.
Oh, they're working
Promo
into the
until
late hours, getting ready for TJ's big follow-up to last weekend's manifesto.
Yeah. Gallagher, I've seen, at least in the last two matches with Perkins, he's been bringing back a bit more of his technical style as of late. It's something that I think he's largely gotten rid of since his debut on the main roster. But unfortunately, him doing all this technical stuff, the crowd just don't seem to be appreciating it or reacting to it much at all. Like, the biggest reaction this match got was TJ Perkins dropping the umbrella on the floor. So can you imagine, like, if Zack Sabre Jr. actually signed with the company and wrestled his style of match on Raw, how quiet the crowd would be, Like, he'd be the guy with the umbrella, Zack Sabre Jr.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I could.
Could you imagine a writer going up and just trying to get his attention to go over his promo for tonight? He wouldn't even turn around and look at him.
He would just ignore him.
Au contraire. My brother.
Yeah.
Akira Tozawa was with Apollo Crews in the locker room, stating how happy he is that Crews is on Raw. Titus O'Neil walked in, and Tozawa just took off. Titus congratulates him on soon becoming a father, which might be the biggest characteristic or character trait we have learned about Apollo Crews in the year he's been on the main roster. The fact this guy's going to be a father.
Yeah, it's something, yeah.
It's the most I've ever learned about this guy on the show. Mm-hmm. He asks how Crews is going to make an impact on Raw, and he says he's going to work hard. Titus was not impressed by this. He says that he needs to link up with the Titus brand. He pitches the idea of Titus traveling on some fucking train. Was it a train, a boat?
It was a punchline to set up an Apollo Crews joke.
Then he could have music that would be the Apollo Blues, or he could start a legal firm called Apollo Sues. He handed him a card, and Apollo seemed intrigued by this. So, much like most of the 205 Live characters, and I don't know why I'm lumping Apollo Crews into this, but he feels like he's going to be in the 205 Live department of characters to come up with.
Oh my God. We know why TJ Perkins didn't get a promo this week. It's because the writer spent all his time writing Titus's lines in this segment.
Yes.
Apollo Blues. Apollo Sues.
So many options that they can have. Maybe we'll have Ric Flair come teach him so he can be Apollo Woos. Maybe he can be... maybe this segment could be done in the ring so all the fans can have Apollo Booze. Listen how stupid this is. And this was on national television tonight. 3 million people were exposed to this segment. And this was not the worst backstage promo of the night. That was to come. Mike Rome was with the Hardys. And Matt, who's at about 92% completion now, puts over their return, the talent, the lights are brighter. He got in about 2 words, which are his connection to his broken character at this point, keeping it ever so alive. Jeff then says words cannot describe their reception at WrestleMania, after Matt pretty succinctly did just that. And then Sheamus and Cesaro walked in to welcome them back, with Sheamus mentioning how he watched them steal the show 16 years ago at WrestleMania 17. Says they were the innovators of TLC. Cesaro says that facing Jeff tonight is a dream match, And Sheamus says without the aid of ladders, they're going to beat the Hardys at Payback. Matt says how they don't need ladders to beat them. And Cesaro says they're going to keep it respectful going into Payback.
Yeah.
Respectful.
Yeah. So I assume eventually they'll just turn it up and really
Disrespectful.
Be disrespectful. Yeah. Matt Hardy has actually been kind of doing a bit of a schizophrenic thing, at least online. He's been
Tweeting messages in both characters.
Yeah. He's been changing his name a lot and, tweeting in all of his various voices. So
Wouldn't it make more sense that if they're going to do that character, they're going to come up with a big angle to justify it?
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be doing this character now. He shouldn't be showing hints of it because it should be some massive change to him when it happens and not whether it's him working his own angle or what.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense for him to be doing this now. If they're going to do it, they'll go all in with it, and there should be a diametric shift from this Matt Hardy.
I agree. I mean, I feel, but we don't know if he'll change. We don't know if he'll get a proper broken introduction.
Well, then he shouldn't be doing it either in that case either.
Well, the thing is, like, he knows what gets him over right now, and it's the delete chance. It's the white streak in his hair. It's not, version 1 Matt Hardy or Team Extreme Matt Hardy. He wants to keep what gets him over, but I don't necessarily sense that.
So you feel to keep these chants going, he's got to kind of wink to the audience that he's still trying to push this character on WWE television.
Dude, I don't know. But it just doesn't seem like there's necessarily that much consistency between what he's doing online, what he's doing himself, and what the writers have planned for him. Because as far as I think what the company is concerned, they're just pushing him as Team Extreme Matt Hardy. The shirts, nothing to do with all the broken stuff.
The Marine 5 comes out next week.
Yeah. How do you think like the producers and the movie studio feels about like the Miz? I guess like you can't be mad, right? But like they do make fun of like him.
I'd be annoyed
being in B movies.
The whole reason of like this. I mean, if you are on the WWE Studios side of things, okay, if you're Mike Luisi. The whole point of this thing is that you have the 3 million viewers on a Monday night to promote your product, and all of these Marine movies get buried on your television.
Right, and so
why would you want to go watch this? If they tell you The Miz is a straight-to-DVD movie performer.
Yeah, like to me, like anytime one of these Marine ads shows up, it's like a heel segment, It's like a vignette for a heel that's about to debut with a very obnoxious B movie Hollywood type of gimmick. So
Braun Strowman should be the next Marine.
I'd love to see Braun Strowman in a WWE Studios,
but no weapons, just his hands.
Oh, okay.
No guns.
Yeah,
none of that.
Yeah, just strength, lifting, flipping vehicles, flipping tanks.
That guy is made for a stupid action movie. We had our 4 corners #1 contenders match here with Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and Nia Jax. Bliss, being in her hometown, got a pretty good reaction here from the Columbus crowd. Bliss hits Jax and then runs away as Mickie knocks Jax to the floor. They showed Bayley watching backstage. They got a lot of time here, about 14 minutes or so. They went through a commercial break. Jax slammed Banks on top of Bliss, then took Mickie and threw her on top of the other 2 women, used a Cobra Clutch to Mickie, a bear hug to Sasha. James is then being choked and turns it into a belly-down armbar on Nia Jax, which she must have the worst technique because you're not lasting if that was like a belly-down armbar. It's gonna break the arm instantly. So,
unless the arm was out.
Maybe Mickie wasn't aware of Nia's defense.
Sorry.
James, after that, Bliss is on top, and she was going to leap off onto Jax, but decided against it and just climbed down. Then Mickie hits a mitt kick to Bliss, a flying forearm that did not look good here with Alexa taking it. And then Sasha stopped an Impaler DDT. Throughout all of this, very little crowd heat. They were going really long, and Sasha then hit the double knees to Bliss. Jax then pulls Sasha to the floor. Bliss knocks Mickie off the apron to Jax on the floor, allowing Bliss and Sasha to go back and forth in the ring. Sasha got the bank statement applied to Bliss, but Mickey made the save, hit a flapjack. Nia returns. She puts Sasha onto her shoulders and then runs with Sasha on her shoulders, nailing Mickey off the turnbuckle with her. Hits a Samoan drop to Sasha, but then Alexa comes back, drop kicks Nia, sending her to the floor, and Alexa Bliss steals the pin and defeats Sasha Banks. So Alexa Bliss gets the Raw Women's title shot against Bayley.
Yeah, Alexa versus Bayley.
This was the opposite of what they
okay.
usually do in a hometown.
Yeah.
They put her over. Got a good reaction. But I would say in terms of both story and match quality, I think this was the worst pick of the four.
No, I think Nia versus. I wouldn't be looking forward to a Nia Bayley match.
Those two had fine matches in NXT.
Yeah, I don't know.
And she's the pushed monster. I mean, that's a much better story than Alexa and Bayley just having a match.
Yeah, but I think there's more value in pushing Alexa, putting that spotlight on her right now, at least because she's coming in with a bit more fanfare, as a two-time. Like, she's the biggest get from SmackDown. And I think if you're going to put her in a match like this, she needs to come out at least looking good, looking on top. I don't know if Alexa will beat Bayley, but the match I think is fine, is a decent match. We'll see what Bayley can get out of Alexa. This match, though, I overall kind of found it a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, I wasn't all that into
I
this.
didn't think it was very, But the crowd was certainly interested in the pairing of Alexa and Sasha. The two of them had a bit of a stare down, and that got a pretty good reaction. And I thought the spots crafted around Nia seemed to get good reactions, too.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to continue until Sasha eventually does her turn, which they're really heavily teasing. But just not doing that match with Bayley and San Jose. I guess the fact that they're keeping Sasha on Raw, they can do that match. Who knows how long they can extend it until they do that. Charlie's with Big Show. He says Braun needs to feel what it's like to be intimidated, and he's going to get a dose of his own medicine tonight. Kurt Hawkins is in the ring and said last week the Big Show was in the ring with him, and now, this week, he's in the main event. So if you want to be a main eventer, you have to step in the ring with Hawkins and ask who is going to be next to join his star factory. And out comes Finn Balor, who I guess has been cleared now. So thankfully, the concussion seems to have been a minor one. And Michael Cole here said, don't forget about the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, which, I mean, this show has done a pretty good job of in the last 2 weeks. Hawkins and Finn Balor had a quick match where Balor chopped him, hit him with a sling blade, running drop kick, and then the coup de grace for the win in 37 seconds. And the announcers were putting him over so big. They said it's inevitable. He will be champion again. He has star written all over him. I mean, they were going above and beyond to position this guy as a top babyface.
Well, that's good. It was a relatively safe match for Balor.
Well, after last week, I mean,
Yeah, that's the idea.
yeah, this was definitely the safest possible match you could have.
Yep. So I mean, we don't really know what's in store for him at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, he's got nothing.
Yeah. So I would assume that if he's able to wrestle here, he's cleared for that. But we'll see. They have 2 weeks if they do want to build something.
Mike Rome is with, well, it's just next week.
Oh.
Next week's Raw is
1
the
week.
last one before the show. So, I mean, they could put him in a match, but it seems if he is, it'll just be something meaningless just to have him on the show. Mike Rome is with Chris Jericho. He says he lost to Samoa Joe. It's nothing to be ashamed of. He admits he is sidetracked because he's focused on his rematch with Kevin Owens and notes he will go to SmackDown if he wins. But it doesn't matter if he's on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Velocity, or Nitro. He said no matter where he goes, the friends of Jericho will follow him, and then confuses him thinking he's Tom. Mike Rome corrects him saying he's Mike and ends up tricking him into stating his name is Tom, and then goes to add him to the list when Elias Sampson wanders by playing his guitar, and it ends up with Jericho not putting Mike Rome on the list, but instead puts Elias Sampson on the list. And I thought that him going to put him on the list, Sampson was going to blast him with the guitar from behind, but that was not the case. But I feel that's where this will end, is that he's going to be unassuming and he's going to violently attack someone with that guitar for his first program.
Jericho?
Oh, I figured it could have been, but maybe he's lost to enough people already. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder
We
if
don't need to-
Jericho's last thing that he does before going on tour with the rock band
Maybe the night after Raw, he's going to show up for a goodbye or something like that. Or maybe not even plug it as a goodbye, and he's going to be laid out by Elias Sampson with a guitar.
Possibly. It seems like with the Owens feud ending, and also on this show with Kevin Owens being on a different show altogether, it feels like Jericho is definitely starting to cool down, and feels like he's kind of relying on a lot of his older tricks to rehab himself.
He felt more like a caricature in this promo. Like, he did all this great stuff, but you're right. Now as
a babyface, it feels like it's a lot more deliberate. Like
this is all comedy. It's like the heatedness of this feud with Owens is done.
Right.
It's like we're just going through with a rematch because we have to do a rematch, and it feels like the program's over even though we have one more match left. Bray Wyatt had a sermon to the snake. I don't have many notes for this because I really tuned out here. He asked if we were afraid of the dark. He had some B-roll to really drive home his points. We saw skeletons. We saw corpses. He ended by stating that he's going to burn down the House of Horrors with Randy Orton in it. Right. Which I can only imagine is the way to win this match. Death by flame.
Do you think the House of Horrors match will be
worse than the Punjabi prison? I think this will be the bomb of all bombs as a gimmick match.
Do you think it'll actually be in the arena, or will it be a pre-tape, like the Final Deletion?
If they have not built some kind of a structure, I don't see how it can be in the ring. Like, this House of Horrors can't just be some stipulation for a normal match. It's got to be something wacky and wild, like you're describing as a pre-tape, or some incredible structure that they have built, which, given that they're asking fans what the hell they should do, tells me that they're not building anything in 2 weeks that's going to be elaborate and expensive.
It's got to end with a fire, too, doesn't it?
It's got to end the show, I think.
You can't end it on a pre-tape, that's for sure.
I mean, they have set the precedent. You can kill people and still continue, as they did with Tim White or Al Wilson. I guess Al Wilson's did at least end SmackDown, right? He died at the end of the show. They didn't have a match afterwards, a Spike Dudley cruiserweight match.
I don't think so. No.
This is going to, I'm 95% sure this will bomb so badly.
Or it could be awesome.
Yes. This is going to be the Moab of gimmick matches way.
Wow.
It's going to be the mother of all of them.
Okay.
Then we had a commercial break where they announced that the Hardys match coming up is brought to you by Xyzal.
What?
Xyzal.
What is Xyzal?
It's a product for coughing. And they have an owl as their logo.
Kidding me.
Did you not see this?
No, I didn't see that.
This owl is sponsoring the Hardys match.
Wow.
I can't believe you didn't see this.
I can't believe
Xyzal. Look it up. XYZOL.
That's brilliant.
Alicia Fox was with Dana Brooke. Between Bray Wyatt and this, these were probably the two worst segments back-to-back I've seen on television this year. Alicia Fox is with Dana Brooke with an iPad watching powder explode in her face from 205 Live last week from the rogue gift she was presented by Noam Dar. She says everything's going to be corrected on 205 Live, which is really pushing the limits of this might be the week I skip 205 Live, knowing that this is going to be a segment. Emma walks in and asks if Dana laughed when the box opened like she had earlier. Because you see, Emma is screwing with Dana to get Alicia to think that Dana is Two-Face. Fox is angry at Dana and walks off. Dana, with the delivery that a low-level porn actress would be disgusted by, said, "That is such a lie." Emma then says, "Well, you wanted to stand on your own 2 feet. Let's see how well you can balance yourself." I can't do justice to how awful, awful, awful this segment was. And it only lasted about 60 seconds, but it was enough between this and a sermon to the fucking snake that I was done. I was out of it.
No,
and
yeah.
I think affected this crowd because I felt dead watching this next 13-minute match.
It was, I mean, this was the third hour. You know, we were getting all very tired, and they're trying really, you know, they're trying with Dana, they're trying with Emma here.
And they clearly think very highly of Alicia Fox in these roles.
Of the three, I thought she was the best person.
Oh God, that's
Oh my God.
what
She had the most personality.
that is the
out of all of
Sophie's
them.
choice of actresses way.
But she certainly, to me, had the most. It was the most interesting of the three. I don't know what the idea is with this new Emma. It just, I think, she just seems like a generic heel at this point, and Dana seems like a rather generic babyface. So, they need girls in the division, and this is their attempt at building them.
Jeff Hardy against Cesaro. This was a weird match to book because unlike Joe and Jericho, this was a match where the challenger should not be losing going into the big title match, nor should the Hardy, Jeff in particular, be losing. So I didn't think this made a whole lot of sense to be booking this. There was a Brother Nero chant at the start. Jeff hit a running clothesline off the apron to the floor, and then he starts limping, and Cesaro hits him with a running European uppercut. Cesaro had the advantage after the break. Hardy starts a comeback, and Cesaro avoids a twist of fate into a European uppercut that connects and then hits a spinning uppercut off the middle rope. Hardy then gets stopped on the top turnbuckle, and Hardy drops Cesaro and crotches him on the top rope, drop kicks him off, went for a whisper in the wind, which did not connect nearly at all. Got a 2 count from that. Cesaro went for the Gotch pile driver, but Hardy back body dropped Cesaro, landed on his feet, and then Hardy hit him with the twist of fate and swanton for the win in 13 minutes and 4 seconds. Cesaro was fine in this match, but this one, like, I don't know. These two just didn't click to me. Felt long, and I don't know. Maybe it was just collateral damage from what I had just watched prior. But the crowd seemed really down this late in the show for this, and I don't know. I was expecting more.
I thought it was a standard, Jeff Hardy match, I'd say. I thought it was good. Nothing awful about it. Just maybe nothing that stood out all that much from it.
I'm wondering how these two, like, for one thing, it's a benefit, I feel. The Hardys are doing a full schedule. They're doing the house shows. They're doing the European tour. Mm-hmm. It will benefit them, the fact that they are tagging and doing tag matches.
Yeah.
But especially if you get to a point, and I think they will, where they're going to break off, and you're going to see these guys having to do 3 house show matches and then TV on Monday. I mean, they have not been working a schedule like this in years and years, and it's going to catch up to these two, I feel. I mean, that's one of the risks that everyone saw of why it was such an ideal schedule for them on the Impact schedule, where they got that time off. And now you're going right into the deep end and working a full schedule in the WWE, where Jeff has to go out and do a 13-minute singles match after doing house shows all weekend. So Sheamus and Cesaro then offered their hands after the match. They all shook hands, so they're going to keep it respectful. Mike Rome was going to give us an update on the Golden Truth. When Heath Slater and Rhino walked in, they got into a time machine and went 6 months back into the past, to where Heath is now talking about his kids and his above-ground pool. Rhino was eating crackers, and Slater's complaining about not being drafted last summer. Braun just storms by as Rhino jumps, and Heath was scared. And that was it. Austin Aries will take on TJ Perkins on 205 Live tomorrow. And then our main event was Big Show against Braun Strowman. They start fighting on the floor before the bell even rings, and Show gets thrown into the barricade. Big Show is then throwing combinations at Braun, and then the match begins with Big Show hitting a baseball slide drop kick. As Booker says, "I was expecting a tope." Strowman used an arm drag twice on the Big Show. Big Show tried for a scoop slam, couldn't get it. Braun then went for one. It was blocked, and finally Big Show slams him. Show then splashes him in the corner. Braun jumps off the turnbuckle and gets hit with a choke slam from the Big Show for a 2 count. Then they battle on the top turnbuckle. Show teases a superplex, but Braun stops him. Braun then leaps off the turnbuckle into a knockout punch. Then Show climbs to the top. Braun stops him and delivers the superplex of death. And the crowd goes insane as the ring explodes. Many people were noting that they did some construction to this ring, getting rid of the pyro board, the LED screen, and parts of the floor had been removed. So the ring just completely collapsed. Strowman staggered to his feet as his music played, and he just raised his arms and left as Big Show is tended to in the ring, and that closed the show. And I think you hit on it perfectly earlier, Way, that ambulance spot from last week, I looked at it today, that had done over 7 million views on YouTube. That thing dwarfed anything they did last week. And I think that probably was a big thing that went into the thinking here, was doing something just as insane.
Yeah.
That's going to be a massive, shareable segment from Raw, which this will undoubtedly be.
Clearly, Braun Strowman is their big pet project coming out of WrestleMania. The guy didn't have much of a role at Mania, but the day right afterwards, in the weeks right afterwards, I think we're all going to see their main focus is get as many people talking about Braun Strowman.
Get YouTube to preserve pro wrestling content for those with that go into the restricted mode. Braun Strowman could save the pro wrestling digital industry all by himself.
Maybe.
If wrestling content gets protected.
Yeah. But the match was a lot of fun. I mean,
I thought this was great. This was the highlight of the show. Easily.
It built on their last match. They teased the ring break of the last match. They didn't do it, and they did it here, and I think everybody leaves home happy. You know, it was fun. Matches like this allow Braun Strowman and the Big Show to both exercise their agility that you don't normally get to see. And, you know, it shows that the Big Show still has a lot left if you still want to do something with him, but I don't think they do. I mean, really, his role right now is to put over a guy like Braun Strowman, which he's doing a great job of.
He was great in this.
And, you know, Braun is their guy right now. They were quite successful, I thought, tonight.
When you look at Payback, the fact that this is on the network, for one, the show's going to draw what it's going to draw. It's not like this was 5 years ago with a pay-per-view where my thoughts would be different. But given the severity of this angle last week, do you feel this could have been the match at Payback and keep Reigns away? Or are they in such a rush to get to Strowman and Lesnar that they're going to just race through this? I think this could have been a Payback, this match. I think there was enough buzz off that first match that people would really look forward to it. And knowing it's the pay-per-view, I think you would expect that you would get the massive spot that would have to close the show, obviously.
Maybe. I just don't sense there being enough of an interest in a Big Show Braun Strowman match for a pay-per-view level. I mean, Big Show just simply hasn't been a big enough presence on TV to kind of warrant a big level match like that.
Well, if they had known they were going there, they could have, from the moment you could have, if you had known by WrestleMania where you were going afterwards, you could have had Big Show in a better place. You're right on that.
Perhaps.
Sense. They've done nothing with it.
Yeah, but I think something like this is perfectly suited for a TV main event. And, you know, a spot like this, you want as many eyeballs on as possible.
So that was Raw. Highlight of the show for me was the main event. But other than that, this was a show that really dragged for me and had some really bad stuff thrown into it, which isn't always the case on Raw. Sometimes it's just fatigue from the show. There was actively awful stuff on this show, but ended strong, I will say that.
I would say anything outside of Braun Strowman, and what I thought was an excellent Miz and Dean Ambrose segment, a lot of the show kind of felt like what, you know, we were suffering definitely from a WrestleMania hangover.
Yeah, Raw seems to have more of the handicaps at the moment with Brock gone. You've just lost Goldberg as well. Yeah, it's a small one with the Revival hurt. Finn Balor was a question mark going into tonight, and they want to sell this Reigns injury, so you didn't have him on the show either. So
and you don't have Kevin Owens.
You've lost those guys that can do those 2-3 segment matches with Zayn and Owens.
Right.
So, yeah, Raw, I think, definitely has, and they're going to lose Jericho as well. So anyway, they have, I think, more issues than SmackDown, which just seems that's a loaded roster when you go through all the top names on there.
For 2 hours.
Yeah, and Jinder Mahal on top of all of them. So look forward to that on Tuesday night. Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal. Will that be a pay-per-view main event this year, Way? Yes or no?
Ooh. I mean,
that is a house of horrors.
There are a lot of months left in the year. We'll see.
Okay.
It'll have to be quite the comeback.
That's going to wrap up the show. Way, is leaving town. He is off. You are coming back?
I'll be back next week. Yes.
Okay, your limited dates, we've run to a standstill. So Wade's going to disappear for a week, but he will be back here next Monday.
I'm being tossed into the ambulance.
That's true, yes. Yeah. So you can share this video 7.5 million times if you so care to. But this week on Review of SmackDown, I'm going to be joined by the one and only Bartender Dave. He is going to be here on the show to review SmackDown with me, 205 Live, maybe, and Talking Smack. So that's all coming up Wednesday. We've got all our regular shows, What's Next, the MMA Report, and Friday, Review Away, we are going to be reviewing Starrcade 1988. As we will be joined, sitting in this seat, will be comedian and former Review Awayer. Is that a term I can use? Review Awayer?
Yeah.
Dylan Gott will be with me. So come check it out. Starrcade 88. I promise this will be quite an entertaining show to go back to 1988. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and we will speak with you next time. Each week, you have a chance to win a t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees during Review of Raw. All you have to do is pay attention for the secret question and then submit your answer at Law Radio on Twitter, and you'll be entered into a draw to win your t-shirt, including our own brand of shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/law.